All right, let's dive into a massive topic for pretty much every business out there right now. How do you go from just playing around with AI tools to actually weaving AI into the very fabric of your company? We're talking about moving from shiny new gadgets to real, lasting transformation.
So, here's how we're going to break it down today. First, we'll get into why this is so dang hard in the first place. Then we'll look at a company that totally nailed it. After that, we'll walk through a 7-step playbook you can actually use. But just installing the tech is only half the story. So then we'll tackle the huge new challenge of managing AI, setting up some guardrails, and finally, we'll boil it all down to the absolute keys for success.
The first big thing to get our heads around is pretty simple. Technology, even something as powerful as AI, isn't some magic wand you can just wave over your problems. Getting processes to run smoothly across a whole company is, let's be honest, incredibly difficult.
And that really gets to the heart of it, right? We have all of these incredible futuristic tools at our fingertips. So why is it still such a struggle to get the tech and the people to just click and work together seamlessly? This slide just captures that gap perfectly. On the one hand, you've got the amazing promise of AI. We're talking huge productivity gains, efficiency at a scale we've never seen, and super smart data-driven decisions. But then, smack, you hit the messy reality of most businesses. Departments that act like their own little kingdoms, endless coordination nightmares, and data that's all over the place because no one uses the same standards. And this quote, it just nails what that feels like on the ground. You've got the sales team throwing orders over the wall to operations, but the data is just riddled with mistakes. So the ops team wastes a ton of time trying to fix it, but they can't solve the real problem because they have no idea what's happening back in sales. It's a classic broken process, just spinning its wheels. Okay, but it doesn't have to be this way. Let's shift gears and look at what's possible when you really get this right. The Mars Wrigley story is an awesome blueprint for what can happen when everything finally comes together. So what did they do? Well, first, they built something called a digital twin. Think of it as a perfect virtual copy of their entire factory floor. This allowed them to pour real-time data into machine learning models, which could then predict production output and seriously cut down on waste. And the results were huge. A smarter, faster supply chain, trucks being used more efficiently, and happier customers. Now that is what AI and process management working in harmony looks like. So that's the dream. But how do you actually make it your reality? This next part is all about the how-to. We're going to walk through a really practical 7-step plan for wiring AI right into the heart of your business. Here are the 7 steps. It all starts with putting someone in charge, a process owner. Then you figure out who you're actually doing this for, your customers. You map out how things work right now, not how you think they work. You decide what success actually looks like, and only then, at step 5, do you start thinking about where AI can help. Finally, you redesign, you implement, and you keep a close eye on it. See? It's a logical path. Now let's zoom in on step 3, because this is where things get really cool. You know the old way of doing this? A bunch of people in a room with a whiteboard and sticky notes? It's slow, and it's totally based on what people remember. Well, the new way uses process mining. Basically, AI digs into your systems and shows you what's actually happening in almost real time. It's like an X-ray for your business that finds all the hidden problems. And when you get to step 5, you get to open up the AI toolbox. And it's all about using the right tool for the right job. You've got RPA for all that boring, repetitive stuff. You've got generative AI for more complex things like whipping up a first draft of a contract. And then you have traditional machine learning for the really heavy lifting analysis, like figuring out the perfect price or spotting fraud. Okay, so you've done all the steps. You've brought in the tech, you're feeling pretty good about things. You might think you're done, but you're not, because getting it all set up, that's only half the battle. And this brings us to what might be the biggest hurdle of all, the new challenge of actually managing the AI. Because if you just unleash these incredibly powerful tools across your company with no rules, you could end up creating way more problems than you solve. And there are a couple of really big dangers lurking here. First, you're just burning money. You have different teams all buying their own expensive AI tools that barely get used, but those subscriptions just keep renewing every year. And second, and this one is way scarier, are the security risks. If you don't have clear rules, what's stopping an employee from uploading sensitive company secrets to a public AI model? That's a data leak nightmare waiting to happen. So, the answer to all this potential chaos is to build some guardrails. you absolutely need a clear set of rules, a governance plan that shows everyone how to use AI safely and effectively.
And what does that look like? Well, it's really a partnership. The IT department handles the technical side of things, checking tools for security holes, setting rules about what data can be used, and keeping an eye on the costs. But the business units, the people using this stuff every day, they have to report on whether the tools are actually working, check the AI's accuracy, and appoint someone to own each tool. It has to be a two-way street.
So to boil it all down, your rulebook needs a few key things. Every single new AI tool has to be checked for security. You need crystal clear rules about data. You have to train your people on how to use these tools the right way. Every tool needs a designated leader. And maybe most important of all, senior leaders have to get that managing AI is their job. It's not something you can just hand off to the youngest person in the room.
Whew, we've covered a ton of ground. So let's pull it all together now and really focus on what it takes to make AI a genuine success for your business, to create some real value. And make no mistake, the stakes are incredibly high. According to a recent survey, a full 80% of business leaders believe generative AI is going to completely shake up their industry. This isn't some far-off prediction. It's happening right now.
But here's the flip side. With all that disruption comes a mind-blowing opportunity. A staggering 93% of those same leaders are convinced that Gen AI is going to add major value to their business. The potential here is just enormous.
So, if you remember one single thing from our time together, let it be this. Getting AI right is not a technology project. It is a fundamental shift in how your business runs. And when you do it right, you create this amazing upward spiral. Better processes lead to cleaner data, which makes it easier to implement AI, which then makes you even more productive. It just keeps feeding itself.
Because in the end, success isn't just about the tech. It's about these pillars. It's about strategy, about changing your org structure, about training your people, about fine-tuning your systems, and about transforming your entire company culture. You can't just do one, they all have to move forward together.
Which really leaves us with one final crucial question to think about. A lot of us are getting pretty good at using AI in our day-to-day jobs, but the real challenge, the thing that's going to separate the winners from the losers in this new era is this. Are you ready to lead it?